So we start new series at Momentum all the time. And so yesterday we started a new series, but we didn't just start a new series, we started a new year. We just finished up a series called Next and talking about how we take the next steps in our relationship with Jesus. And yesterday we started a series called Unleashed because now it's time to take the next steps. Now it is time to do something. We're done talking and dreaming and wishing and hoping, and now we feel that God is calling us to do something in our community. A couple of weeks ago at our big Easter egg hunt, we had over 5,000 people there. And a woman stopped me on the way out and she said, "I can't believe that you're a church that's doing this. After everything that we see in the media about churches, I can't believe that a church would want to do something like this for our family." That really shook me. I began to have a conversation with her and I asked her what she meant by that. And she said, well, every time I see a church, they're picketing a funeral of a soldier online, or they're doing something that really just doesn't show a whole lot about how much they love the community. And so I really became convicted that it's time for us to do something in the community. To do things like the Easter egg hunt, but even on a larger scale. To unleash hope in a real way to real people for real change. Yesterday, as we started our series, we entered into a week that's going to be a powerful week at Momentum. We challenged you to pray each day, Monday through Wednesday, a very simple prayer. To pray that God would show you someone in your life that needs hope, and that he would lead you to act to unleash that hope. On Wednesday, we said that we want to, as a church, pray about each of those situations individually. And then on Thursday, we want to do something. We said we want to unleash that hope that God has led us to. It's our prayer that this Thursday, that exponential numbers of families will have hope unleashed in a real way. And maybe for you, there's a single mom. And maybe you could make a really big difference in her week, just her ability to even get by giving her a couple of packages of diapers. Maybe for you, you know that there's a family that's struggling with hunger, that's struggling with groceries. They don't know where their meal's going to come from, and maybe you could help out with that. Maybe for you, you have a friend or a loved one who's suffering through an illness or suffering an illness of a loved one. Maybe a pat on the back, an arm around the shoulder. Maybe you could unleash hope in a real way. Maybe God's calling you to get involved with the Community Pregnancy Help Center. Maybe God's calling you to get involved with a food bank. Maybe God's calling you to do something. That's our prayer. Yesterday we looked at the story of Nehemiah and how for days Nehemiah fasted and prayed. And then God laid a vision on his heart. We're asking each other as a church to do that same thing this week. To pray for days, Monday through Wednesday, that simple prayer, and to allow God to lay that vision on our hearts. And on Thursday, we're going to do something. Now, we want to share as a church what God pours out through us, what God calls us to do, the hope that God unleashes in us. And so we're going to have a special spot on our website starting on Thursday. You can go onto our website, lexmomentum.com, and there on the homepage, there's going to be a link called Unleashed Week 1. You can click on that link, and there's going to be a submission form. We don't want names. We don't want addresses. We don't want details. It's not about bragging about what we do individually, but we just want to hear the story that God laid on your heart. We want to hear what God led you to do through this time of intense prayer, and we want to hear what God unleashed through you. We're going to bind those stories together, and we're going to share them as a church, and we're going to celebrate what God is calling us to do. But here's the great thing. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of what God is going to unleash through us. And so will you join us this week in unleashing hope in a very real way to real people for real change and make a real difference in our city? Will you love Lexington? Will you unleash hope?